We often talk about love as if it's soft, comforting, and always affirming. And while love is certainly supportive, true love also calls us to grow. It challenges us even when it's uncomfortable. From this past Sunday sermon, we talked about when someone comes up to you, whether it's a spouse, a best friend, a mentor, they pull you aside and say, I love you, but you're just not there yet. There's more for you, and I won't let you settle when God is calling you to more. I think we like to think, at least, that we've got it all figured out. But if we're honest, I believe that each of us will come to realize that there's always room for growth. And that's where real transformation begins, when we start to recognize that God isn't finished with us yet. Paul's letter to the Thessalonians is filled with encouragement, but it also carries challenge. He celebrates their faith, but he doesn't let them settle there. They're a model church, they're a model for other believers to look at. But he still says there's still more work to be done, that there's still things lacking in their faith that needs to be supplied. And so Paul, he then pushes them towards a deeper walk with God out of love. You see, love without challenge can potentially leave us stuck, but love that challenges calls us to grow. And so what Paul does here in this letter is he shows us this tension, if you will, between encouragement and challenge. We all need encouragement in our lives, but if we only receive constant pats on the backs, if we only receive our cheerleader squad telling us how good we're doing, we'll never grow because there's no need. And on the other hand, if we have challenge without encouragement, it can leave us feeling defeated. It can leave us feeling overwhelmed. And so Paul, he gives us both. He lifts up the Thessalonians while also urging them to press on in their faith. And then he goes into the concept of sanctification. It's the process of being made holy and becoming more like Christ, the challenge that we're all chasing after. And he tells us it's a gradual process, not an instant transformation. And this process involves strengthening what's lacking in our faith. Whether there are areas in each of our lives, like the Thessalonians, me, myself, and I up on stage need areas in our life that need refining, where we may feel stuck or unsure, where God is calling us to let Him supply what's missing. And that's the process of being made holy. It's of stripping away the things that hold us back and running towards the life God has called us to. And the thing is, sanctification isn't easy. Sometimes it requires confronting the parts of ourselves that we'd rather keep hidden. It means facing the uncomfortable truth that we're not where we're supposed to be. We're not where we need to be. And the truth is, God loves us too much to leave us where we're at. You see, Paul, he didn't just point out the Thessalonians' weakness to discourage them and say, look how far you still have to go. He prayed that they would honestly see God and that God would meet them in those areas and bring them to greater and fuller maturity. And that's the key. We don't grow by our own strength. We grow by leaning into God's power and allowing His Spirit to work in us. Sanctification, it's a daily surrender. It's a willingness to let God refine us and chip away with where He needs to have things removed. It's uncomfortable, but it's also where true transformation happens. So we need to ask ourselves, are we willing to face areas in our life where we're lacking, areas where we may not want to go, that we try to keep hidden, and invite God into those to work sanctification in us? And so your engagement question for the day: what is one area in your life that you've been avoiding where God is calling you to grow? How can you invite Him and His strength and His power into the space this week and allow Him to supply what you may be lacking? Even though this is a deep question, you can always answer it over on the Church Center app, but take the time. Recognize where God may be calling you to say no, what He may be calling you to say yes to as He continues to work on us and make us more like His Son.